it all kind of started when I was living in Montreal, and I used to go to this place called Backroom Records. And the guy who owns the store, Warren, has an amazing collection of music, really eclectic, really affordable, and he had this whole Bollywood section. And I had never bought Bollywood records for some reason. They're hard to come by, and I just had never kind of ventured into that genre of music. And when I brought these Bollywood records home and put them on, it blew my mind. And that kind of fed my curiosity about Bollywood and collecting records. And I went back one time and I said, Warren, where did you find all this Bollywood stuff? Like, where can I find more? And he said, well, it's kind of hard to find, but apparently in Toronto, there's this secret Bollywood record warehouse that has thousands of Bollywood records, but I can't really tell you more. I don't really know more. That's all I know. So, being from Toronto, I moved back here a couple years ago, and I started to explore the city. And there's an area in Toronto, which I'm sure some of you know, is called Little India, and it's on Gerrard Street, the Indian Bazaar. And there's one store called the Indian Record Store. So I went inside, and it's mostly tapes and CDs and DVDs. And there was one little tiny corner, like a little cubby hole almost in the store, and they had probably a handful of records. So I went through a few of them and picked a few out, and I bought some, and I asked the guy, are there any more records? Like, where'd you get these, and can I find more? And he said, these are the last of the records that we carry. We're the only store in Toronto that carries Bollywood records, and once these are gone, then you're never going to find them again in the city.
Since we opened, till 1990, business was booming like anything. We used to sell records. Every other day, we used to get shipment from India. And we've been operating since 1972 till today. But till 1990, we used to distribute all over Canada, all over North America almost. But now they don't come because they know that there is no music like that.
So I went back one time. I started going back every few weeks, once a month, and one of the times that I went back to buy more records, I realized that there were new records in this cubby hole. And I went up to the guy and I said, I thought that you didn't have any more records. And he kind of hesitated and said, no, I think they were here. And I said, no, these were definitely new records. So I went in there one time and I kind of pressured him, and I convinced him to tell me what was in the basement. I said, what is in the basement? And he said,
we used to have full of LPs all the time. And so we had a warehouse 2 blocks down there.
And then you started storing the records
because
in the
we used to
basement.
pay the rent there.
Yeah.
So we wanted to save that because the record was down, sale was down.
The sales were down. So everything went into the basement. I said, can I get down in the basement? He said, no one is allowed down there. The owner is very strict about that, and I would get in a lot of trouble. I can't let you down. So I went home, and over a period of 3 to 6 months, I developed a rapport with this guy, Ashok, the guy who works at the store. And finally one day I went in and I said, Ashok, I need to go in the basement. I have to go and see what's down there. Please let me do this. So we went down these dusty wooden steps, and it was pitch black. So we turned the corner and we opened a door, and Ashok turned the light switch on. And there was one big room at the end of the hallway, at the end of this corridor, which was the last light. So when the last light came on, the whole room lit up. And sure enough, there were like 5,000 to 10,000 sealed vintage Bollywood records that had never been touched. And I went crazy. I lost my mind, and I just zipped through, and I pulled out as many as I could, and I opened them up and I listened to them. And I pulled out about 50 to 100 records that I decided to buy and take home, and that's what I did. So that's kind of how this whole Bollywood beat tape started, was with this Indian record store and this like gold mine or library of music that had never been touched.